Hello. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear me? Please text in your chat if you can hear me. Hello, hello. Can anybody hear this translation? So, ladies and gentlemen, let's just wait for everybody to join us back. I will text in our chat that we are back and everything is working. And let me allow a couple of minutes for everybody to join us. And we will continue, okay? Sorry for this inconvenience. Just let me have a couple of minutes for the chat. So if you can text your group mates as well that we are the same streaming, the same link, I will be much obliged because it takes some time, you know, to recollect, basically. Well, I see that the chat is working and I can see that there are 2 people in our streaming today. So I hope this will not crash our lesson today and we can continue. And I think that it will take just a little bit longer than I planned. We will finish a bit later than 6 p.m. definitely. Oh, great. I see people coming back. I'm very happy with that. That's great. So guys, I see that you can hear me. Yes. I see that you're joining back. That's really nice. And our last meeting here in YouTube, I got some useful feedback from you related to the work with the vocabulary that I would try to involve into our home translation. And another feedback was about the delay in my presentation, but this one I could not actually figure out completely because my idea is that if I delay in my input message and then the output comes with say a minute delay, it means that when I start the timer, you get the instruction 1 minute later. And then when I finish the timer, you also get this instruction a minute later. So the delay should be proportional, shouldn't it? And it should work fast. I mean, it should work well. So we will try here and now our work with just a little bit slower pace. And today we're talking about pronouns. I hope that those who wanted to join and who were ready to join, these people are here. And we can continue. And I cannot see how many people there are today now, but yeah, I see 32 people. I hope that there's gonna be more because we are a lot. But generally, if you couldn't get the hang of the way it works and you were a bit taken aback with the technical delay, technical misdemeanor of my computer, sorry about that. I hope you will be able to see the recording of this streaming, okay? And I think we can start, and I can take away this flooding while waiting for others to join. And we turn to our first slide, and we talk about the teaser. The teaser will get us into the whole topic, and you've had this sentence before when we talked about the inversion. But in my opinion, it does not represent inversion so much as it does represent the function of pronouns in technical English. You see that we have the pronoun these, demonstrative pronoun, right? Functioning as the subject, right? And the word function, sorry for the tautology, functions as a verb, right? So this sentence bears a bit of challenge in translation, doesn't it? So I want you to warm up and type your vision, your translation of this sentence, okay? Could you please do that? And please, everybody, just exert an effort and do the typing and do the translation work, because I think you would feel more satisfaction from the training, and I would feel more satisfaction from the training seeing that you are doing some practical job, not just listening to me, okay? So I'm waiting for your translation of this sentence. These function as agents. Please, no time limitation, just try to do it as fast as you can. And again, I'm encouraging everybody to translate. All right? Please, these function as agents. Well, any ready versions so far? So I understand that you don't have the complete context. You don't know what the indicative pronoun, the demonstrative pronoun these stands for, but try to come up with a certain universal approach, you know. So Leo has a version. Эти функционируют в роли агентов. Они функционируют как агенты. Not bad, but it could be better, guys. Maybe some better version. I see that you understand the meaning. I can see that. It's really nice. But we need... эти компоненты или они функционируют в качестве агентов. Выступают в роли агентов. Right? Yes. Yes, well done. То есть we don't know what exactly these stands for, right? So we can say that эти компоненты или они, but we don't say just эти, because эти in Russian requires some noun to follow, right? So, yeah, Andrei offers a nice solution. Данные, and then you have to introduce a noun, функционируют только не как сотрудники, в качестве агентов, да? Функционируют в качестве агентов. Yeah, в роли агентов в качестве. Yes. Good job. Good job, everybody. You can keep typing your translation. I will keep an eye on it. And if I see something really worth mentioning, I will comment on it definitely, right? Выступают в роли агентов, right? Выполняют функцию посредников. No, actually, agents here, I think, comes from the field of chemistry, right? So, like chemical agents. То есть данные компоненты, данные соединения выступают в качестве агентов. Right. So, and we are ready to continue. The first problem that we should consider when we talk about pronouns in the field of translation, this is the problem of the pronoun it. And you know, it can be quite a dramatic function, quite a dramatic problem, because it may have a variety of functions. you see that I have enumerated 4 basic functions. Yes, I keep looking at your translations and I like them. If there were something that I would say is really like miscomprehension of the meaning or something stylistically inappropriate, I will definitely say, don't worry. So you can always keep on typing your translation. I will have a look on it and leave my comment. So you see that the first problem, the first function of the pronoun it is the function of the formal subject. If you look at the example, you will see what I mean. It is clear this concentration is too high. It is clear that's an introductory phrase. As you know, it's considered a formal subject. And in this case, it is never translated. Okay? Ясно, что концентрация слишком высока. So, it is never translated as a formal subject. That's why it is formal, right? It's not functional. It shouldn't be translated at all. The second function is the formal object. For example, we found it necessary to control the whole process. Мы считали или посчитали необходимым контролировать весь процесс. Formal object is also never translated. Never translated. So, formal subjects and formal objects, it, are never translated. This is a must. Please bear it in mind. If you make the translation of it into Russian in the function of formal subject or object, this is an indication of quite a drastic, basic, primitive mistake. And you will bring discredit upon yourself as a professional. Never please do this. The next thing I need to remind you from the topic of inversion that it pronoun may be used for the sake of emphasis. For example, it is perhaps for this reason that their results are not acceptable. Возможно, именно по этой причине их результаты неприемлемы. It is that this is an emphatic structure which brings forward the inversion into the utterance, and it helps us to highlight certain aspect of the utterance, right? In this case, it is never translated as well. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, never translated. So, because it resembles, as you can see, the formal subject, it is perhaps for this reason. Именно по этой причине возможно, right? But we should be careful with the function of the pronoun it now when it just describes a notion, when it gives a notion description. For example, it was a standpoint shared by many philosophers. It here refers to something that has already been mentioned, and we translate it as a substitution pronoun, right? Эту точку зрения разделяли многие философы, right? So that was a standpoint, it was a standpoint. So notion description here follows our rule that it should be translated, right? The 3 rules before tells us that it as a subject or an object is never translated, but if it describes a certain notion, then it should be translated. So this is our rule, and in my experience, I can say that a lot of translators do not know about this. They make a lot of mistakes with the pronoun it. You will be given your first translation exercise, very short one of just 13 points to train this rule, but this exercise would be one of the most difficult. Please take care with translation of these 13 sentences, right? Try to single out whether you deal with, whether here exactly you are dealing with formal subject, a formal object, or this is a notion description, or what you consider this to be. And then during our discussion in our chats, we will talk what exactly you thought it's going to be. Then, apart from the problem with the pronoun it, when we translate pronouns, we also have to pay a lot of attention to substituting pronouns. And now I'm setting our second translation challenge. Again, for everybody, no limitation, but I need everybody to participate, okay? Everybody, please take care and try yourself in translating these sentences, because this is an unusual challenge, as you can see. You see that we have back translation from Russian into English. Okay, so I'm not telling you any rules or explaining what substitution pronouns are. I just want you to provide your translations of these 4 sentences. Okay, as I promised, no time limit, but everybody should be engaged. Okay, I'm looking forward to 40 variants. We have 40 people now online. I'm looking forward to 40 variants. Please provide the translation of all the 4 sentences in one message. All right? All the 4 sentences in one message. It would be easier to analyze for us. Okay? Well, 40 translations, all of the 4 sentences in one message. Looking forward. Please, let's do it. Yes, yes, everybody, please, all the 4 sentences in one message, okay? It will take you longer, but it's easier for analysis then. Okay. Take your time, everybody. Okay. Let me help you by reading the sentences aloud. Maybe the intonation patterns may somehow be of help. Их утверждения были последовательны, как и наши. Полученные данные были более важны, чем данные, которые у нас уже были. Можно связать эту феноменологическую фазовую диаграмму с более привычной диаграммой. Чтобы получить хорошие результаты, надо упорно работать. Oh, great. So we have shade lanterns. The first variant provided. Their statements were consistent, just like ours. Well done. Yes, the first challenge is coped with. The received data is more important than the one that we already had. Shade lanterns, please mind the fact that data is in the plural. We talked about this 2 classes ago, okay? So data should be in the plural. Then let's continue, and we have we can connect this phenomenological phase diagram with a more traditional one. Yes, great. Yes. Then their claims were just as consecutive as ours. They received data. Everybody, please remember, data is in the plural. Their statements were subsequent as well as ours. The given data more valuable than those we have. Well, we have already had. Yes, can be bound with a more usual diagram. Okay, yeah, I will return to that. The data obtained were, please everybody, almost everybody has this mistake. So this is the weak point, everybody. Data is in the plural. Delegations were consistent, so were ours. They received data and they not is but are, yeah. Then not the one then, sorry. Phenomenological phasal diagram could be associated with a more familiar one. Yes, Andrei, well done, Dilar. The data obtained is again is, sorry. Vladimir, well done. The data obtained are more important than those that we already had. You could bind this phenomenological phase diagram with a more familiar one. Great. Lera, the statements were consecutive just like ours. The data we have received are more important than not that. No, that because it's plural. We can associate this phenomenological phase diagram with a more familiar one, right? One must work hard in order to achieve good results. Great. Their statements were consistent like ours. The obtained data are more important than the data we already had. Yes, Dinar. It's possible to connect this phenomenological phase diagram. In order to get good results, you have to work harder. You have to work. Okay, to achieve good results, it's necessary to work hard. Yes. Okay, their data are more important. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah. So I see that you're well aware with the substitution pronouns and you can use them freely. Maybe there were some troubles with the third and the fourth sentence. So what exactly? Let me look at more translations coming. Consistence were ours, right? Those we already had. I want to link. Zarema, in order to get good results, one should work hard, right? You have to work. You need to work hard. Okay, you can associate with the more familiar. Anton, right? Well done. To get good results, you have to work hard. Yes, 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 with a more familiar one. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very satisfied with your translation and let me continue. But if you haven't sent me your translation, please do it because I'm still looking at your variants that you are sending. Okay, so what I want to comment upon. Substituting pronouns are the pronouns that help us avoid repetition of the same nouns. Yeah, this is used for the stylistic purposes, of course. And in your translations, I could see that you can well use the substitution pronouns, but just a couple of things that I want to draw attention to. So, the first sentence, as you see on the screen, looks exactly like most of you translated. Yeah, I see that. Alexander writes, their statements were consistent like ours, just like ours, said Diana. Yeah, absolutely. And Jane says the statement were consistent like ours. So, absolutely, my translation is the same. You know this rule, right? The second sentence, I bet, did not pose much of threat. We say that полученные данные более важны, чем те, которые у нас уже были. The data obtained overweigh those we had before, right? So you see that those would substitute the noun, yeah? So some people use the ones we had before or that or the one because it was a mistake from singular mixed up with the plural. But you were thinking the right way. Here you just need to be careful with the word because it's an exception and the data is always in the plural. Then as for number 3, it also relates to the word now, to the word one, and some of you got the hang of it and translated it in the proper way, in the way actually that I meant with a more, but some people did not substitute the word diagram used twice, like Diana, I see your version. This phenomenological phase diagram can be linked with a more familiar diagram, so you see you have too many diagrams here, right? With a more familiar one. Yes, or with a more conventional one like I have here. Переводчики. So here we have the data learned were more important. It's correct. I think you meant here something different. But more important, those that we already have. I think you meant than those we already had, right? That would be correct. So, but the fourth sentence, I think it requires a bit of more attention, because here we have, to get good results, one must work hard. I saw this variant in some of the translations you provided, but I want to draw attention again to that. Чтобы получить хорошие результаты, надо упорно работать. If we talk about conversational English, that's just when you talk to a friend or just explaining, giving some instructions to somebody you know, when actually we deal with the spoken language, okay? Then you pattern, like you have to work hard, or you need to work hard, you should work hard, like you translated, is quite appropriate. But when we talk about technical language, here the preference lies with the word one, okay? With the word one. So if you give instructions, нужно, следует, then 100% you shouldn't use the pronoun you, but you should use the word one. One should do, one has to, one must work hard, and so on. So from our session now, you have three major rules. Yeah. First rule, again, data is the plural. Second, when we have two nouns coming close in neighboring sentences, try to substitute one of them, usually the second one, with the substituting pronoun. And the third thing, in impersonal sentences, when you give instructions, instead of you, use one. Okay? If you're making any like shorthand writing or taking some notes, I would take a note of that. So the next pronoun that I want to draw your attention and specify, that's pretty, I think, acceptable, because expectable. Yeah, expectable. The form of the letter. Первый, второй. The former means the one that we spoke about in our enumeration first, and the latter, the one that we spoke about last, right? So, for example, we have the statement, we have Dr. Walker's opinion on this question, the former being a scientific worker of a well-known laboratory, and the latter director of a large plant. So here you see that the phrase, the former and the latter, both elements occur in one statement, but they can easily be divided and used just separately. As you can see in this paper, we shall take the former approach. So the letter is missing, right? And this latter case is considerably more difficult to represent. So what I need you to do now, again, let's translate these three sentences. And I suggest that I will comment upon first three versions of the translation of the first sentence, then three versions of the translation of the second, and three versions of the translation of the third. That's why the fastest ones will get my feedback, my comment. Okay? Please, first three people, the fastest who can translate the statement about Dr. Walker. Please, can't wait. No time pressure, but just do it, okay? Okay. Please, first three people with their versions of the first sentence. We have Dr. Walker's opinion on this question. The former being a scientific worker, of a well-known laboratory, and the latter director of a large plant. I can feel your confusion. I see that there is something missing in the statement. I believe there should be two people given. And I would say we have Dr. Runner and Dr. Walker's opinion on this question, the former being a scientific worker. Oh yeah, Anton, very witty solution, right? Yes, Andrei, you also got it. Great, great. So, excellent. Great job. В прошлом научного работника, а теперь директора крупного завода. Absolutely. Yeah. Great. So what I meant to say that if we had two people, like we had Dr. Runner and Dr. Walker's opinion on this question, it could be easier, right? The former being a scientific worker and the latter director of a large plant. But you see that this cliche can be used with a different meaning, right? Great. Now let's turn to the second statement. In this paper, we shall take the former approach. In this paper, we shall take the former approach. Ага, Таня is ready. В этой статье мы должны обсудить предыдущий подход. I'm not sure about that. В этом исследовании нам стоит использовать предыдущий подход. I don't like the word предыдущий. Maybe, guys, you can suggest something else in this paper? Well, of course, this statement is taken from a context. And the context stipulates that there should be mentioning of two approaches in here, right? There should be one approach described and then at least one more. And then we say, in this paper, we shall take the former approach. И в этом исследовании нам стоит использовать... I don't like the word предыдущий. Sorry. I'm just looking for... Первый подход, Лейсан. Yes, первый подход. Right shade. Первый подход. Прежнего... Первый. Right. I would say... В данной работе мы будем использовать первый метод, подразумевая, что их было несколько в списке, да? И мы будем использовать первый. And the final one, this latter case is considerably more difficult to represent. This latter case is considerably more difficult to represent. Please, any versions? This latter case is considerably more difficult to represent. Последнее явление гораздо сложнее иллюстрировать. Yeah, Leo, описанный ранее подход. Good idea, yes. But here, we are restricted by the context, right? Of course, if there is no enumeration before this utterance, then it could be описанный ранее подход. Absolutely. Then, этот последний случай значительно более сложен для представления. Этот последний случай намного труднее изобразить. Ага, последнюю ситуацию гораздо труднее воспроизвести. Данное новое дело сравнительно труднее обозначить. Последний случай значительно сложнее сформулировать. So, I would say that comes from jurisdiction, from law, right? And we have this, not even the article the, but we have this. It should be translated 100%. То есть данное последнее дело, из списка имеется в виду, да? Данное последнее дело, и вот это последнее дело гораздо труднее в представлении, да? И этот последний случай гораздо труднее представить. Yes. Yes. Good job, everybody. Good job. We continue with other provocative and challenging pronouns. намного сложнее писать этот последний случай. Yes, yes, right. Александра, yeah, good idea. В этом докладе мы придерживаемся упомянутого ранее подхода. Yes. Then, another common mistake that translators make when they translate texts, they very often confuse the word both with the phrase both and. Okay? So, do you feel the difference between the two sentences? Both estimates are correct. Both faults and errors must be taken into account. Well, semantically, these sentences may mean something really close, but in terms of translation, they should be rendered differently, right? То есть оба расчета, да, или оба числовых выражения верны. А вот второе предложение, both faults and errors must be taken into consideration. We should translate it like как ошибки, так и сбои должны быть учитаны. Right? I hope you would agree with me. So, if you were not sure about these two phrases, please jot them down, write them down for yourself, and never make mistakes with them. So, yeah, like I said, обе оценки являются верными. Как сбои, так и ошибки должны быть приняты во внимание. Yes, both and. This is a bit stylistically different interpretation. Then, another pronoun. You see, pronoun that may be rendered in a number of ways. And I have so far singled out 5 ways. Could you please text me how you can translate that? Of course, I don't mean that тот, та, то, and so on. So, no gender reason, okay? But just the translation ways. Let's leave it only masculine and only translation ways. So, who can come up with 5 ways of translating that? Show me, please, your expertise in that. What you think it could be translated like. Который, agree. More. Let's try to come up with 5. Который. Что, который. Okay, close, but all right. Тот. I would say so far it's like 2 variants only, not 3. I need 3 more. Come on, guys, 3 more. Тот, all right. So 2 more. Это тот такой, который что? Такой, yes. Данный конкретный такой. Чтобы, yes, yes, absolutely. Okay, good. So I see that I could make up much more arrows, much bigger, much a bigger diagram for sure. Дабы, yes. Того, okay. Тот самый данный. All right, let's see what I meant. Okay, so I meant that, like indicative, like you said, тот. That project was, тот проект был, yeah? Then, the project that we discussed, который, you also mentioned it, тот проект, который мы обсудили. Then, number 3 is interesting. That we had enough financing was advantageous. It's the top right, or kind of right one. То, что у нас было достаточно финансирования, было нам на руку, right? It is natural to require that final choices not be multiple valued. So it's like so that, right? And like in the meaning of чтобы. And this point of view is that of mathematician rather than a physicist. So, like you mentioned, эта точка зрения является точкой зрения. Like you see, it's bottom right, substituting a noun. Это та точка зрения, которая принадлежит математику, а не физику. Right? So, I can add up your versions as well. I think it could be enlarged. So, your second exercise for homework would deal with that, with, yes, Vera, absolutely, определенный данный. Yeah. You will have 24 more sentences with particular pronouns that may present certain difficulties. Also, please try to be adequate in your translation and precise or accurate as much as you can, okay? So now let's turn to indefinite pronouns. Indefinite pronouns. When we're not sure how many or how much exactly. So, for example, we have, they have some evidence in support of their view. There were some 200 people at the meeting. Do they have any evidence in support of their view? They were not faced with any difficulties in solving the problem. Any of these methods is useful. No evidence was presented in support of their viewpoint. They encountered no difficulties in solving the problem, and a white body absorbs no light. So guys, what I want you to do not translate all of these sentences. Please, no need, because the message is clear. What I need you to do is to translate only the, sorry, the underlined part. All right? Only the underlined part. Doesn't matter, you can go one by one. Some evidence, please, your versions. Some evidence. How would you translate this phrase? Некоторые доказательства. Некоторые доказательства. Yes. Несколько доказательств. Некие доказательства. Несколько. Ага, несколько улик, maybe. Then, some 200 people. Около 200 человек. Лучше, да, не людей. Кое-какие доказательства. Некоторые доказательства. Let's turn to some 200 people. So far we have one version. Около 200 человек. Какие-либо доказательства. Next one is любой из методов. Okay, любой из методов. Alright, you jump, but okay. Около 200 человек. Каждый из этих методов. Ага. Не было никаких трудностей. Yes. Около 200 человек. Какие-либо доказательства около 200 человек. Ага. How about, do they have any evidence? Number 3, do they have any evidence? Любой из этих методов, right? Ребят, как насчет третьего предложения? Do they have any evidence in support of their view? Около 200 человек, right? Какие-либо... Ага, у них есть какие-либо доказательства? Okay. How about third from the end? No evidence was presented. Какая-либо зацепка? Не было представлено ни одного доказательства. Не поглощает свет. The last one, I agree. Number 4, какими-либо сложностями. Ага. Какие-либо доказательства. Okay. Не было предоставлено никаких доказательств. And any more visions of absorbs no light? Хоть какие-нибудь доказательства. Okay, so let's see what I have. They have some evidence. Некоторые данные. Yeah? So, again, we don't know the field. It could be law or it may be just research. Около 200 человек, you were right. Do they have any evidence? Какие-нибудь доказательства? Any difficulties? Никаких трудностей, because it was like negative particle before. Любой из этих методов полезен. Никаких данных не было предоставлено. Они не встретили никаких трудностей. И белое тело не поглощает свет. Right. So you see all these indefinite pronouns, some, any, and no, may be translated differently depending on the context. And the translator should be really careful with selecting the proper translation and interpreting the context properly. So we translators, we need to know about this. I believe this topic is not really challenging for you because you coped beautifully with that. But there may be certain problems with indefinite pronouns, not all indefinite pronouns, but with the pronoun no, used with particular words in combinations. For example, please check yourself whether you know the translation of these 5 phrases. No matter, независимо от того, не имеет значения, right? No doubt, без сомнения, несомненно. With no, безо всякой причины, for example, with no explanation, без объяснений. No more than, не более чем. No longer, больше не. Yeah? So I will show you the context, but please look at the suggested translations. The problem with the technical translation is that sometimes translators tend to translate it in a very conversational way. Yeah? No doubt, they may be translated like нет никаких сомнений, что. But usually, this kind of phrases is more preferable in translation to look like adverbs. Okay? Без сомнения, несомненно, независимо, and so on. The more adequate you use adverbs as your equivalents, the more natural your translation looks. For example, no more than 2 tests are required. Требуется не более 2 тестов. Yeah? No matter what is the number of events, the frequency of recommendations is 0.2. Независимо от количества событий, да, частотность рекомендаций составляет 0,5. This problem can be handled with no recourse to a microscopic model. С этой проблемой можно справиться, эту проблему можно решить, не обращаясь к микроскопической модели. No doubt, in this case, the system analysis is not necessary. Несомненно, в данном случае системный анализ не является необходимым. Such transformations no longer affect the process. Такие трансформации больше не воздействуют на процесс. Yeah? So I hope you could translate it alongside with me and your translation was close to my interpretation. So I'm not sure you can see it well, but I tried to add the scan from one very old book, but in my opinion, the most overall presentation of all possible derivatives of the indefinite pronouns given. So again, these types of derivatives, they are pretty easy in interpretation. And I'm sure if you look at all of them, these variants will agree with your own variants. But just for self-testing, I will leave it here. You can come back to our streaming, pause it and check yourself, look at all of them and the way they are presented in Russian and in English, and use the proper ways in your home translation. So, I singled out 4 sentences, which in my opinion may be somewhat difficult in translation, okay? And again, we will discuss the first 3 variants. First 3 translators who provide their versions here in our chat will get my comments, okay? Let's start with the first one. These solids show no basic properties whatever. Please, your variants. Please translate this statement into good Russian. These solids show no basic properties whatever. If you have any problems with the terms solid, твердое тело. Yeah? Okay. These solids show no basic properties whatever. If you have any idea about the way to interpret this statement, this sentence, please type it in our chat. Try to be the fastest to check yourself and get the comment. Well, so far nobody's ready with the first one. Ага, Игорь, эти твердые тела не проявляют никаких свойств. One word is missing. Эти твердые вещества не имеют даже базовых характеристик. Окей. Таня, данные твердые тела абсолютно не проявляют никаких общих свойств. Общих? Лера, у этих твердых тел нет абсолютно никаких базовых свойств. Данные твердые тела не проявляют никаких основных свойств. Эти твердые вещества не имеют базовых характеристик. Yes. Whatever would intensify the meaning. And those who use the word никаких, your translation was more accurate, right? Данные твердые тела не проявляют никаких базовых характеристик или свойств. Yes. Great. Now let's look at number 2. Everything is affected by its relations to everything else. Here we need to get the message, the big idea of the author. What did he or she mean with that? Everything is affected by its relations to everything else. Ага, Александра, данные твердые тела не обладают абсолютно никакими базовыми свойствами. Yes, абсолютно, никакими, well done. Не проявляют никаких основных свойств. Yes, Зарема? Good idea. So what about the second sentence, everybody? Everything is affected by its relations to everything else. Everything is affected by its relations to everything else. Фрол, взаимодействие с другими телами влияет на каждое из них. Ага, good idea. Каждый предмет подвергается влиянию благодаря его связям со всеми остальными. A bit too complicated. Взаимодействие с чем-либо влияет на все вокруг. Дмитрий, it's not sophisticated enough. Everything is affected by its relations to everything else. What's the idea of this utterance? Is that all things in our world are connected, and all the objects and notions in our universe affect one another. Все взаимосвязано, says Dinar, right? Absolutely, this is the big idea. Okay, на каждый предмет влияет его взаимоотношения с остальными предметами. Yes, why not? Great, yeah. So, Camila comes to the third one. Пользователь – это любой, кто предоставляет данные для системы или получает выходные данные от нее. Okay. Here, I would draw your attention to the two antonyms, input and output. So, Camille, if you think about this, that they are given in the same context for some reason, because they are antonyms, right? So maybe we should use this stylistic device in our translation too. So Anybody else about the user or number 2? For number 2, I would say на каждый предмет оказывается, нет, каждый предмет подвергается воздействию со стороны других предметов. И сам оказывает воздействие на них. Kind of that, yeah? What about the third one? User is anyone who provides input for the system or receives output from it. То есть пользователь – это тот, кто input for the system and output from it. Any ideas what it could be? Ага, пользователем может быть любой, кто предоставляет ввод данных для систем, либо принимает вывод из нее. Yeah, I could be polished a bit, I think, Leo. Пользователь – это любой, кто вносит данные в систему или получает от нее ответ. Yes, I like this one. Пользователем является человек, любой человек, который оперирует входящими и выходящими. Yes. Shade, thank you very much. I think this one looks very professional. Любой, кто предоставляет данные или получает данные, может называться пользователем. Угу. Пользователь – это тот, кто обеспечивает систему входными данными или получает из нее выходные. So I like Shade Lantern's version. Любой человек, который оперирует входящими и выходящими данными. Угу. Посылает запрос, система получает ее ответ. Yes, also like this version. And the final statement, ladies and gentlemen, this admission makes nothing to his point of view. This admission makes nothing to his point of view. Пользователем является любой человек, который оперирует входящими и выходящими данными. Yes, Артем. Good job. So, final sentence, ladies and gentlemen. This admission makes nothing to his point of view. What is the idea of this sentence? What does the author mean? Это признание никак не влияет на его мнение. Yeah, but I think admission, I would make it sound a bit more scientific. Let's imagine that the statement is made during some scientific debate, okay? So maybe признание would be too strong a word for it. Maybe more versions are coming. So, if not признание, maybe допущение. Yeah? Это допущение никак не влияет на его точку зрения. I think this could be a nice version. And now let's look at our... это допущение не имеет никакого отношения. Не имеет отношения, не влияет на его точку зрения. Yes. Your home assignment is usual. I got the feedback only from one person related to my challenging rules, and only one person was telling me that he's following the challenging rules. Like first he was translated without using the dictionary and then correcting himself. This is really, really, really useful way of work, and I encourage everybody to do the same. So first you follow the challenge rules. You have 30 minutes. You can look up the dictionary only 3 times, and you translate as fast as you can. And then you just reread your translations and try to edit them and make them more adequate. Now you can use the dictionary. You will see the way you progress. This is really nice exercise. And now that we don't have any opportunity to meet face-to-face, just online, I cannot monitor so much your work. I can see your translations and I check them, but I do not have any live conversations with each one of you, because there are too many. And that's why you can monitor it by doing this kind of exercises. Right, so try yourself, okay, in this challenge work. And you've got the third exercise, 19 sentences. And you've got some useful links and pronouns in